With the cracks in the multiverse spreading across the MCU landscape, the imminent arrival of Kang the Conqueror is just on the horizon. Now that footage from Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania has been revealed, we have a closer look at the second variant of Kang to make his MCU debut, after He Who Remains debuted and died in Loki. While he is certainly menacing in his own right, at his core, he is still little more than a human being with incredibly advanced technology. Kang, that is. Not too dissimilar from his generation's version of Tony Stark or Reed Richards. So, with this in mind, what makes Kang so formidable? Why is he such an imposing threat to the multiverse? And is it possible that he might even rival Thanos in terms of sheer danger posed to the Avenger? The answer is yes. Well, stick with us today, watchers of the Marvel Multiverse, as we break down exactly why Kang the Conqueror is far more formidable than the Mad Titan ever was, and pose a much larger threat than the decimation of half of the universe's population. In Loki, He Who Remains explains exactly why he reorganized the multiverse into one sacred main timeline. He reveals the existence of several malicious variants of himself known as the Kangs. But what's so important about these Kangs isn't the power that they each hold individually, but the sheer magnitude of variants that exist from across the multiverse. These Kangs once lived in harmony, but eventually grew to become powerful conquerors and feared tyrants across all timelines, and no corner of the multiverse was safe. This means that perhaps the biggest difference between Thanos and Kang is that Kang effectively cannot be killed. But what do we mean by this? As the multiverse is sent into calamity, an endless number of Kangs arise from an infinite number of different timelines, each with the capability of hopping across the multiverse to continue their conquests. Each Kang is unique, each one thirsty for bloodshed, and each one is only the latest in a long line of powerful tyrants ready to lay claim to any given timeline. If one Kang from one timeline is killed, it is only a matter of time before another Kang from somewhere else in the universe or multiverse travels to various surrounding timelines and arrives at the doorstep of Earth's mightiest heroes. Even if the Avengers can kill one Kang, there is no telling how much time they have before they have to face the next version. And likewise, there is no way of knowing the capabilities of each unique variant of a Kang. Kang is a plague who will eternally resurface, a virus designed to give the Avengers only a brief period of rest before another version of him emerges to conquer said timeline. And it's only a matter of time before the various iterations of this interdimensional tyrant wear down the Avengers to a point where one finally succeeds and destroys them. Each Kang has different gadgets, experiences, and weapons at their disposal, making them inherently unpredictable and utterly unstoppable. The Avengers simply cannot fight off Kang forever, because inevitably, one of them will traverse the timeline with a strategy or idea that finally works to defeat the defenders of our timeline. Whether that is the first Kang, or the 10th, or the 100th to set their sights on our universe. Any victory against Kang is only a temporary victory. Thanos, on the other hand, he was very much mortal. He was able to be killed in the opening minutes of Endgame, and then again at the end of the film. But his goals always revolved around the Infinity Stones of his own universe, and his quest was limited to a single reality. After Thanos was killed, his variant arriving in 2023 was a cosmic fluke only triggered by the Avengers themselves tampering with the timeline, and there is no persistent threat of another Thanos arriving unless there are severe extenuating circumstances. Kang, on the other hand, there was always another. The only reason Thanos abandoned his original timeline in Avengers Endgame was because he followed the Avengers back to their home after they had returned to the past to collect the Infinity Stones. But there was no inherent reason for him to leave his time up until this point, and there is no reasonable threat that another Thanos from the multiverse would have to arrive to our mainline universe. There will likely be infinite iterations of Thanos arriving throughout the multiverse as of now, but the Mad Titan only ever set his sights on a single timeline, his own, meaning once he is dead, the Avengers are most likely safe from his conquests. He will likely never voluntarily venture out of his own timeline and dimension in order to threaten the mainline MCU ever again. Kang, on the other hand, traverses alternate realities on a regular basis, seeking new dimensions and timelines to add to his vast empire, or his dynasty. Where there is any timeline unconquered, a Kang will come, and a Kang will seek to subjugate everyone on the undominated timeline, keeping them trapped under his iron rule until his presence draws the attention of another variant of another Kang, one that rivals him. In essence, the only real thing to defeat a Kang is another Kang. Upon this happening, history has shown that the two Kangs will battle each other for dominance and wreak havoc on the inhabitants of the unwitting timeline, which is forced to host their battleground. And the bystanders of this innocent timeline will be caught in what is likely the bloodiest war they have ever seen. This arena did not ask for the incursion of Kangs, but would be forced to host a cosmic war unseen by most of the multiverse. Entire time streams would have been annihilated in the wars between Kangs, entire civilizations wiped from existence at the behest of two power-hungry egomaniacs, laying waste to everything in their path in a cruel, vicious crusade, set only to dominate without remorse, nor concern for those caught in their path. This multiversal war was thought to be an eternal one until finally peace arose, but not without drastic consequences. The terms for peace at the end of the first multiversal war was nothing short of complete annihilation and subjugation of a few remaining survivors. One timeline was allowed to survive. One timeline alone was left after the genocide of Eliath the Usurper. One reality in which the inhabitants were allowed to survive, but at the cost of their free will and personal liberty. One reality trapped in a prison, devoid of choice or reason. This was the cost of Kang's conquests, and the only peaceful resolution that he who remains could conceivably find. The cost of finally defeating this interdimensional warlord was the destruction of reality itself, with only one strand allowed to survive, the inhabitants of which don't get to make their own choices, but instead must follow a predetermined course, lest they be arrested, tried, and sentenced to either serving the TVA or being sent to the void at the end of time for simply making their own choices and exerting their own free will. Thanos culled half of life in the universe, but he culled half of life in his universe. The power in the hands of the Mad Titan is formidable, and his defeat of the Avengers sent the world into disarray and chaos, but it was still restricted to just a single universe. Now, the conquests of Kang, the time-traveling tyrant, will not only threaten our reality, but every reality known to unknown. For a timeline can only remain untouched by a king for so long before one comes knocking, and now it is up to the defenders of this reality and the rest of Earth's mightiest heroes to fend off this domineering warlord before he subjugates and eventually annihilates our timeline. But anyway, my friends, what do you think of Kang? Do you think he is more powerful than the Mad Titan? And how do you think the Avengers can stand up to him in order to ultimately defeat Kang the Conqueror? As always, my friends, thank you guys so much for watching the channel. Hit that subscribe button to assemble and join our team, and I hope that you're having a great day.